Hello and welcome to Trojans Live, presented by Monster Energy on ESPN LA 710 and across the USC Trojans Media Network. We're working on a Labor Day and happy to do it because it's a Victory Monday here at USC, and what a victory it was. USC takes down LSU. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody Kessler, and our head coach, Lincoln Riley. Monster Energy, the official energy drink partner of USC. Tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. And our head coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. Coach, we talked to you just a few hours ago, it feels like, in that post-game locker room. Since then, I'm sure you've been crunching a lot of tape and looking back on the game. Is there anything that stood out that maybe we didn't get into last night that really stood out on the film?
I think we got into most of it. I mean, there was a lot to like, obviously, the way the guys played, the way the guys competed, the physicality of the game. Like a lot of first games, there was a lot of bad. I mean, and that's how they all are, right? It's never quite as good as you think it is. It's never as bad as you think it is, and this one was certainly the case. I mean, the grittiness, toughness, the togetherness of the team was fantastic. We missed a lot of opportunities as a team. We made a lot of mistakes, but we didn't let it rattle us, and I think that was really key, especially in a first game of that magnitude against a quality opponent. So I was really proud of that. But you come back and watch the tape, and it brings you back down to earth a little bit, and there's a lot of work to be done, but there's a lot of good pieces to work with, and obviously a lot of excitement around it.
Coach, your quarterback got his second start and not a bad showing there. What's the film look on him after you watch it back?
He was pretty good. There's a couple of decisions we would want back, but not many. He tends to go the right place with the ball, and he's patient. I'll tell you, the first couple of starts he's really been pretty fearless there in the pocket. Yeah. He is certainly willing to stand in there, and then made some big time throws. And so, but I thought, again, he certainly wasn't perfect, but he played well. He led us. He was very poised throughout the entire game. I thought he had to have some patience at times, and he certainly did. But no, he was very composed the whole way. Would be, I think, a great way that I would describe him. Just really throughout the game, when it was going good, when it wasn't going good, it really didn't change his demeanor. And I think great ones have the ability to do that.
Coach, how valuable is it for your coaching staff and your team to play a team like LSU in the first week, a top 15 opponent, and get a win in a hostile environment like that? I guess as opposed to playing, and I hate using the term tune-up game, or maybe a lesser opponent to start off the season.
There's positives of both. The previous years, I mean, if you could play good and separate, you obviously get a chance to play a bigger part of your roster, there's some obvious benefits to that there in the beginning. And then certainly the gear up for a game like this and the challenge it presents, the opportunity, you go play in an atmosphere that, I would say, only, probably elite rivalries that are played at neutral sites, which there's not many, and then college football playoff games, like, other than that, like that's what it feels like. I mean, it honestly doesn't really get any better than the atmosphere there yesterday. So to be in that again against a quality group, really talented football team, you got to strain, you got to fight. I mean, there's certainly, I think emotionally and from a mentality standpoint, there's probably more that you can get off of a game like that if you handle it well, and we did.
You're listening to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, on Trojans Live, and you said it was a neutral game. When you had the ball, though, it was a true road game, right? Your offensive line had to deal with a lot of noise. Jonah Monheim, playing at center. How did you grade out the offensive line's overall performance?
We did a pretty good job. It was a loud environment. There, give their crowd credit. They did a good job, challenging us in that way, but. Yeah, we battled. I mean, there was some really, really good. There were some really physical plays on the O-line, but we also made, a few important errors that we're not going to be able to make going forward that we're going to have to correct. But I thought some of our older, more veteran guys, Jonah, Emmanuel, Murph, they were all pretty steady for us the entire way. The young guys, Alani and Paige. They have some just phenomenal plays in the game. And, I mean, for those guys to get a chance to play in that type of game, that type of atmosphere, like it doesn't get any more challenging, for an O-lineman, that being really loud and the guys on the other side of the ball being really good players. I mean, that's about as tough as it gets. And so I thought they held their own. Their good plays were really, really good, and I think those two young guys in particular are going to improve quickly as we go.
Coach, on the outside, we were talking about kind of the 4 young receivers going into the game a bunch, which sophomore, which is kind of stiff up and be that guy. But yet, you had Kyron Hudson have a big one, a big catch from Kyle Ford, and then Lake McCree comes in at tight end and has a big game. What was that receiving group like with Lake McCree and how they came along in the game?
Yeah, I thought Lake and Kyron really led us there. They were steady. Lake in particular played extremely well. Probably his best game as
a blocking too. I saw some blocks in there.
He was vicious in the run game, and was very steady in the pass game. Kyron had obviously a couple major plays in the game. He also left a couple out there that he wants back. He actually the couple we didn't make were probably way easier than the ones he did, but he made some unbelievable, just tough plays. Now, I mean, obviously some incredible plays. And other guys were good. They made some plays, again, kind of like the young O-lineman. Like, we made some plays, but we also did some things that we're going to have to correct and get a lot better at. But there's a good vibe in that room. There's a lot of energy. There's a lot of competitiveness. That room brings a little bit of a spark to our football team. There's no question about it. And they made some big plays last night.
Coach, a win like that and a game like that can drain you not only physically but mentally as well. And it kind of reminds me of the NFL. When you play on a Monday night and then you have a game turn around Sunday or one of those Thursday night games, how do you get the team locked back in and ready to go on a short week ahead, getting ready to play on Saturday?
Well, no, it'll definitely be a challenge. I mean, it's like you said, it's a Sunday night game, and you gotta flip it and go get ready right away. So there's a physical challenge to it, recovering. There's a mental challenge of both schematically and game plan wise, getting ready for Utah State, learning what you need to learn from this game, and so we got to handle it well. And then the other thing I would say is, like, our crowd's got to help us Saturday night and handle that. You know what I mean? They ought to be pretty damn jacked up about the way this 100%. Football team played, and so that ought to be a heck of an atmosphere in the Coliseum. I know our guys are looking forward to it, and hopefully our crowd comes in, has a big impact on our game, and helps push our guys even further.
Defensively, I thought you tackled really well. Everything stayed in front of you. It felt like the whole game. There was very little that, in terms of explosives and big plays that got behind you. Obviously, there's new personnel on this defense, but how did you go about, I'm sure you always have emphasized tackling in off seasons, but with this group, how do you feel like you've improved and gotten better to what we saw on Sunday night?
Yeah, I think it's just guys positioning. I mean, we honestly haven't tackled any more in practice or less in practice than we ever have, and maybe a hair less this year going in. Not a massive difference, but yeah, I think our guys are in position and they're understanding where their help is. I think they're understanding, playing a little bit better fundamentally. When you close down lanes in the run game, guys are going to be better tacklers, right? You got good backs and you'll give them, a ton of space. Like, I don't care how good your tackles are. They're not going to be as good at tacklers. Like, you're going to miss some tackles the bigger the space is, and it's obviously harder for guys to break tackles when that space is really condensed down. So we did a good job of that. We had a couple coverage busts, especially one there on the long play that they had on their second to last drive of the game that hurt us. So there's a couple things in the pass game that we absolutely got to clean up and be much better at. But we did. We tackled. We were physical at the point of attack. We did a good job against their run game. So I thought it was a good first performance. I mean, we're excited about the way we competed, but also, I mean, I know myself, Coach Lynn, the entire defensive staff felt like we, left a lot out there and there's still certainly a long ways to go in terms of improvement.
Well, there's a long ways to go in terms of this season, too. You haven't even played a home game yet. Week 2 is this Saturday, USC versus Utah State. That game is presented by Coke. The home opener for the season will kick off at 8 p.m. on Saturday. Our Trojan Tailgate Show will start at 6 o'clock on our new home here, ESPN LA 710. So we'll talk a little bit about the Aggies when we come back. Trojans Live is sponsored by Pechanga Resort Casino, proud partner of USC football. Back with more Trojans Live. Enjoy the sweet taste of victory Kamari with a free donut at Ralph's the day after the win. That's today. Sean, did you get your donut?
I have not yet.
It seemed like you could use one.
I
Maybe
could use
a
a donut.
little sugar might help out a little bit. Download your digital coupon from the Ralph's app to score your free donut at any Los Angeles area Ralph's store. And when you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all bueno. Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lager is Baja-inspired and imported from San Diego, located near you at fine.stonebrewing.com. Jordan Moore, Sean Cody, Cody Kessler, and the head coach Lincoln Riley getting you set for USC and Utah State. The mental challenge this week is handling success. How do you feel about the maturity of your team and their ability to put that one behind them and go forward this week?
Yeah, it's going to be important. I mean, that's the dangerous thing is like every week, no matter what happens, you're always fighting something. Yep. Like you're never going to have a week where there's not something that you have to address or something that you have to push against. And that'll be the challenge for us, right? Like it's, everybody wants to now just write all how the entire season's going to go. And there's at week one, that one thing you can always guarantee is way too many overreactions, right? And so we've got to first be appreciative of the win. All right, be excited about the win, and we should be. You own the good, but you own the bad too, and the things that have got to get corrected. And yeah, I mean, if we want to be the football team that we think we can, then we got to understand it's a long journey ahead. We only get so many of these, and this one is another opportunity to do it right here in the Coliseum, and we got to be ready to go.
Coach, looks like a familiar quarterback might be at the helm for Utah State and put up a ton of yards the last game. What's the scouting report on Utah State in the office? Obviously, Bryson Barnes going to be in there.
Yeah, really good player. Obviously, we got to see him last year. So they've got some really good skill position kids around them. We're very productive offensively, as you said, in their first game. They've obviously had some coaching changes and turnover and all of that, but look like that they've handled that well and really, really settled in and played a good first game, especially in the second half. So, you got to be ready to go, man. It's a relentless game every week, man. You see it. I mean, all over the place. You see teams that you think, oh well, they're going to beat this team by that or that by that, and that's why everybody says it all the time. That's why you play. So we got to be ready to go. We know we're going to get everybody's best shot, and this week's going to be no different.
Coach, guy stood out on Sunday was Jaylen Smith. It seems like he really made those big-time plays in those big moments, and the coaching staff talked about how well he prepared this offseason. How much confidence does it give you as a coach and him going forward when that preparation in the offseason translates into game day?
It was good to see. He handled the move over to corner well. He especially was excited about the way he tackled. He had some big-time tackles that were really key plays in the game. Made a couple big plays in the red zone for us. And we felt good about him being able to play some corner snaps for us. And I know we talked, I think, previously that, he certainly has the ability to move around in different spots. But, yeah, he's one of the older guys. He's been in this program. He's seen it. He's learned. He's been through a lot. Like this, typically, if you're going to have a good team, it's guys like that, kind of your older guys that have been around that need to rise up and play the best ball of their lives. And so he's off to a good start.
I know someone we didn't talk about last night enough, Eddie Chaplitsky. To me, it felt a lot like an NFL game. You even saw the score, the first quarter where you barely got to touch the ball. Field position was a really important factor in the game, and I thought he was absolutely huge in making sure that even when LSU had momentum, they still had to go 75-80 to cash in on it.
Yeah, the field position deal was huge, and Eddie was awesome. Punt team did a nice job covering around him. But, yeah, those were big plays, man. I mean, you look at some of those sequences, even when we got backed up offensively on the one and we were able to get a couple of plays out, get us some yardage, and then Eddie booms one down there. I mean, they were important plays. They helped us a lot defensively. And so the complementary football was really there a lot of the night and obviously at its very best at the end.
Coach, I've been on some defenses that were pretty good, and when you're playing good defense, you're able to make adjustments kind of on the fly, especially in the first game when you don't know exactly what maybe they're going to try to attack you with. I thought last night, Coach Lynn, fantastic in adjustments. Kyron Lacey, first half, 7 catches, second half, nothing, and then the third quarter, big rushing attack, fourth quarter, shut the run game down. Talk a little bit about his adjustments he made and how important that is on defense.
Very important, and like you said, first games, with the coordinator had been there, but it was his first year running the show, and so new quarterback, all that, you knew there was going to be some different things, and there were. I mean, there were some things that you couldn't necessarily have predicted that they were going to do, and we had to adjust. Especially
when they're saying they're going to run the ball all week. What the heck, man?
So yeah, I thought our defensive coaches' communication on the sideline was good. I think our players were able to understand the adjustments in large part, and we were pleased with that in game one, and it'll continue to be important. But the game ones in college, man, there's nothing else to study, so you always know you better be ready to do it.
Coach, another player that really stood out, especially early on in the game, was Kamari Ramsey.
Yeah.
I love how physical he plays. He's not afraid to come down and make some of those big hits, and he's a great tackler. How important or valuable is it to have a guy like Ramsey, who's already spent a year in Denton Lynn's scheme?
Incredibly valuable. I mean, he's a tremendous player. He's earned the respect of our locker room and the team pretty quickly with the way he prepares, the way he goes about his business, the way he plays, the way he competes. He's a violent tackler. He's a really smart player. He understands the game, and he's one of those guys that's just pretty good at everything. I mean, he can cover, he can blitz, he can tackle. I mean, he can be the free player. He's very instinctive, and then, as you said, the added experience in Coach Lynn's system has made it an even smoother transition. So probably, honestly, as important of an addition as any we've had on our team from the previous year to this year.
How'd it go with the in-helmet communication for the first time?
It was good. It was good. I mean, it had challenges just because of the noise at times, but I thought, for a first game, we were excited about it. I think we prepared well with it. I mean, we worked hard. We tried a lot of different things, and I think, our staff did a nice job of, working through some of the kinks and all that comes up, and it was pretty seamless. And yeah, it's obviously nice to be able to communicate with those guys.
Coach, that was a fun game last night. What's a memory that'll stick with you? I mean, maybe one of the funnest things that happened last night after the big win. I know always playing foot rides on those kind of trips are always fun to be a part. What was the funnest part about last night and winning that big game?
Just honestly, just seeing the players. Just seeing the looks on their faces, the enjoyment in the locker room. It was a fun plane ride home. Just, that's what you do it for, man. It's for the people, and it's for the people within the program and the people that put so much sacrifice into it. And for me, that's the thing that gives me the most joy, is just to see them happy and getting a chance to enjoy a hard-fought victory and enjoying it together, and the brotherhood and just the camaraderie between them, the staff. I mean, that's now, those are the parts that the public doesn't always get to see. You guys have been a part of it, and those are the things that really stick with you.
Coach, I asked you last week what that final conversation with Miller would look like before you guys take the field, and you said just be himself and go out there and do what he does best, and he did that and then some. So I got to ask now, what that first conversation looked like when you guys got back into the locker room.
Yeah, we didn't talk a ton after. I mean, I just told him, congrats, you did a good job. I mean, you did exactly what we set out to do, and now we – that we got to enjoy it for a couple hours here, then we got to go flush it and go, man. Like especially on the short week. So now he was already kind of dialed into it. So he played the way that we all expected him to play, and now you're only as good as your next performance.
Absolutely. His next performance will come on Saturday. USC versus Utah State, presented by Coke. Kick at 8 p.m. Trojan Tailgate Show will go on at 6 p.m. across the USC Trojans Media Network. We will talk to Coach next week on Trojans Live about that one. Fight on Trojans and fly on with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Well, a guy who made two of the greatest catches you'll ever see. Kyron Hudson is up next on Trojans Live.